Hey guys, if you're jumping into Mongil Star Dive for the first time and wondering, do I need to reroll for Esther to even start playing? Then I'll say it straight. No, you don't. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today. From what I've seen, a lot of new players are building their teams wrong right from the start. Not because they lack luck, but because they don't understand what the game actually wants from their team. So today, I'm going straight into analyzing the best F2P friendly team to start the game with. No fluff, no whale requirements, you just need to understand correctly and build correctly. Before we get into team comps, I want to point out something very important that many other videos skip. The best F2P team in the early game is not the one with the highest damage or full of S tier or SS tier characters. The best team is the one that lets you clear consistently, survive easily, avoid resource bottlenecks, and transition smoothly into mid-game. Keep that in mind throughout this video. Now let's move to the first part, the free characters you already have. Right when you start the game, you'll receive two characters, Cloud and Verna. Cloud is a 4-star ice unit in the Destroyer class. Verna is a 4-star fire unit in the Fighter class. And after finishing the tutorial, you'll also get Francis, another 4-star unit, Earth Element, support class, someone who is actually ranked quite high on tier lists. In many other games, free characters are just filler, but in Mongil, this trio can carry you very far if you use them correctly. I'll say it straight, Francis is a character many players will underestimate at first, but to me, this is the core pillar of every F2P team in the early game. Francis can buff attack for the entire team, heal allies, and even create a healing zone that automatically restores HP when someone's health drops. This kit may sound simple, but that's exactly why it's so valuable. It's stable and reliable. When you don't have good gear yet and don't fully understand the mechanics, having a support like Francis behind you removes a lot of pressure. What about Cloud? On the surface, he's just a free 4-star unit, nothing flashy, but his real value lies in being a very reliable destroyer in boss fights. Cloud attacks from range can safely break the boss's stagger gauge and even reduces enemy ice resistance with his ultimate. I'll explain Stagger in a moment, but just understand this. Cloud may be free, but he's far from useless. Now I want to talk about a mechanic that I consider golden knowledge to understand why many seemingly strong teams don't perform well in practice. That is the Stagger system, also known as Neutralization. In Mongil, bosses and many strong enemies have a bar called the Stagger gauge. Your job is to deal enough impact to break this bar. Once it's broken, the boss enters a stagger state. It stands still, its defenses drop, and this is your window to unleash all your damage. No matter how strong a boss is, once staggered, it becomes a punching bag. That's why a team with a destroyer or neutralization unit is always stronger than a team full of pure DPS in boss fights. You might have 3 of the highest damage units in the game, but if no one can break the gauge, the boss will deal with you before you deal with it. So the triangle I always recommend you remember when building a team is 1 main DPS for primary damage, 1 support for buffing, healing, or debuffing, and 1 destroyer or neutralization unit to break the stagger gauge and open the damage window. You don't need 3 S tier units. As long as you have these 3 roles covered, you're already on the right track. Okay, now let's get to the part you've probably been waiting for. 3 sample teams I recommend for F2P players. The first team I call Team Zero Luck, meaning a team you can use immediately without any luck at all. Verna plus Cloud plus Francis. These are 3 characters that almost every player has from the very beginning. And the beauty of this team isn't explosive power, it's its scary level of consistency. Verna stays on the field as the main DPS, applying Fire Affliction, dealing decent damage, and being easy for beginners to control. Cloud handles one of the hardest parts of the early game, breaking the stagger gauge from a safe distance with low risk and rarely getting hit thanks to his range. Francis stays in the back, buffing attack, healing, and keeping the team alive. 3 characters, 3 roles, nothing missing. This is the team I recommend to any new player who doesn't want to reroll, doesn't want to chase limited units, but still wants a smooth story progression and to learn combat properly. The only weakness of this team is that Verna isn't a true 5-star carry, so her damage ceiling will fall off later. But for the early game, It's completely solid. The second team I call Team Lucky Reroll. Gabi plus Francis Ellie. This is a build direction for those who are lucky enough to reroll Gabi or pull her from the beginner banner. Gabi is a 5-star Earth unit fighter class with strong damage in both single target and AoE, plus utility like Petrify, team-wide buffs, and the ability to interrupt enemy specials. Pairing her with Francis works extremely well because Francis's attack buff is very effective for an Earth carry like Gabi. Ellie is added to provide neutralization, breaking the gauge so Gabi has a window to unload damage. This is the kind of team that is both strong and has a very clear rotation, and most importantly, it still follows an F2P friendly logic, even with a 5-star unit in the core. The rotation for this team is easy to understand. Start with Ellie to chip away the stagger gauge, use Francis to buff and heal, then once the boss is staggered, switch to Gabi and dump all your damage. If you reroll Gabi, you can consider your account to have a very bright future for mid-game already. The third team I call Future Team, or more accurately, the upgrade goal you can aim for later, Esther plus Jiwon's Flare or Ellie. Esther is widely considered one of the top DPS in the community. Jiwon is a very strong support for win teams, and Flare or Ellie provide neutralization and debuffs. This team is undeniably powerful. But I'll say it straight, Esther is a limited unit, which means she's much harder to reroll for, and even sources like Game 8 clearly state that Esther is not required to clear content. So don't let Esther become an excuse to ignore more practical and easier to build teams. I include this team in the video as a goal to aim for, not something you must rush to reroll for from day one. Now I want to talk about another part that many players often overlook, but it actually has a huge impact on your team's power in Mongil, Monsterling and the Link Chain system. Monsterlings are not just pets that give passive stats. Some of them have Link Chain, meaning if you equip the right one on the right character and meet certain conditions in combat, it will jump into the battle to attack, heal, or apply effects. This is an extra layer of power that, if used properly, can create a clear gap between you and players who ignore it. I'll go over some of the most notable ones for the early game. First is Cappy Mama, which you can get from the tutorial. Very, very useful for healing and rank effects in the early stages. Extremely practical. Next is Forkmugger, and this one is highly recommended because you can get it instantly using the code MONGILPRESENT. Forkmugger also reduces elemental resistance when hitting the enemy's weakness, which fits perfectly with the early game philosophy of targeting the right element and optimizing boss fights. If you're running Cloud in your team, pay attention to Lupe, as it increases neutralization damage and works especially well with ice characters. And if Verna is your main DPS, Uncle Cappy is a good choice because it boosts fire special skill damage. One small but important note, pet damage is not always better than utility pets. If your team is still unstable and your gear isn't strong yet, monsterlings like Leafy Mama, which can heal when HP is low, or Spoonmugger, which restores stamina when it runs out, can sometimes provide more real value than a damage pet in certain situations. The final part I want to cover is resources, because this is where F2P players can make mistakes that they will regret for a long time. The first and most important rule, in the early game, you should only focus on investing in one main team. Don't spread your resources across multiple teams at once because you won't have enough to make any of them truly effective. Pick one team and commit to it. Regarding investment into the 3 free characters, Cloud is absolutely worth investing in because he is the best free destroyer you have and remains useful in boss fights for a long time. Francis is almost never a waste of resources because support and healing always have value. Verna works well as a temporary main DPS, but in the long run, she can be replaced if you pull a stronger 5-star carry. So my recommendation is invest just enough into Verna to progress through the map, but invest more heavily into Cloud and Francis because they provide more long-term utility. About crystals. If you are F2P, save your crystals for limited banners or banners you truly want. Don't spend randomly on weapon banners without a clear plan. Also, don't let your keys overcap. In Mongil, keys regenerate 1 every 12 minutes and cap at 100, so log in often enough to avoid wasting this resource. About gear. In the early game, don't be too obsessed with getting top-tier weapons immediately. Progressing through the map, events, monsterlings, and building your core team to a functional level are far more important than chasing a perfect gear set that you're not ready to farm yet. Once you unlock more content, gear and crafting will start to matter much more. And one last thing I want to emphasize before ending. Mongil is newly launched, so the meta will change quickly. Updates, new characters, and developer adjustments can all affect tier lists. But the team structure I shared today, a main DPS, a stable support, and a neutralization unit, will never become outdated because it is based on the core mechanics of the game, not temporary meta trends. So to summarize everything, if you don't reroll or don't want to reroll, the best starting team is Verna plus Cloud plus Francis. If you reroll Gabi or pull her from the beginner banner, the clearest and strongest upgrade path is Gabi plus Francis plus Ellie. And Esther is a long-term goal. She's great, but not required, and not a reason to quit or feel behind. F2P players don't need the most flashy team. F2P players need the least mistake-prone team. If this video helped you, leave a like and comment to let me know which team you're running. See you in the next video.